Welcome to Call Me Didi, everyone. I'm your host Diva.
And I'm your host Sanchi, and let's get into today's episode. And before we start our episode, of course, we have to do a highlight of the week.
So Diva, do you want to tell us the highlight? You would say now. So used to this line, it's like part of the opening.
Like, Diva, do you want to go first? Yes, I can go first. Okay, go.
Okay, I'll go first. My highlight is just like that it's Diwali season.
Yeah.
Like it's just this season of festivities and I love this time of the year. It's my favorite time of the year. So like 2 weeks back I hosted some friends for
It was just 1 week back.
time. It's all like weirdly like ever since we came back from Cairns and he got sick. Like it's just like this weird timeline for me where I don't know what happened when. But apparently it was 1 week back.
Yeah, it feels like ages ago, but it was just now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, so had some friends over for like a Diwali card party. So at home in India, we have teen patti parties, which is like similar to poker but slightly different. And that happens every week leading up to Diwali, and everybody calls each other to each other's houses, and it's just a thing. So I wanted to recreate that. So I called my friends over. We had a poker night, and I won that night. I won at the end of the
She's
night.
way too proud because it was the first time.
No, I've played it many times. It was my first time winning.
Yeah, that's what.
That's
First
true.
First time winning.
Anyway, so that was my highlight. What was yours?
My highlight was actually Friday. I have realized like Fridays are one of my favorite days. Like,
Interesting.
yeah, weekdays are ending and it's just after work. I feel like, I've like 2.5 days to myself. And now I go to the city for work every day. So after work, I really like going to the markets or like spending time just with myself. So last week, I did a solo date night after work and I did a really nice bath and then I washed inside out too, which was so good, like, and cozy. And like this Friday also I met a friend and it was so nice catching up with her after like 6 months, more than that. And like I also explored the markets and stuff. So it's just Fridays after work, I've realized, are the great time. Like they're usually my highlights.
That's interesting. That's cute.
Yeah.
Fridays after work for me have just become shopping days. Like every Friday after work, the past few weeks, like my friend at work is like, so what are we buying today? Like literally this Friday. And it's just become this thing because Fridays the shops stay open till 9 p.m. So like after work I just go buy something, whatever I need, and I've realized that I need to stop doing that because I end up spending a lot of money. Anyway, what are we talking about today?
You're talking about how to build self-love?
Yeah.
One of my favorite topics. Okay. Do you want to tell, what do you think self-love is according to you?
To me, this feels like a question answer. Like this feels like an exam. Anyway, to me, it feels like, so to me, self-love is loving yourself for who you are. Like on the inside, it's loving yourself for your discipline, for your habits, for like your heart, for your nose, because I have a cute nose. Like, you know, just like really loving yourself for like the person inside you.
Yeah.
But it's also like complimenting yourself. Like I give myself a lot of compliments,
I know.
as you know, because she can hear them in the other room.
Yeah. And then a lot of times she'll be sitting and she'll be like, "Chal diva, काम करना है." बस phone रख दे side में. And I'll be, what is wrong with this girl? Like she constantly
But that's also, I think, to me, self-love. Like when I'm sad, you know, I talk to myself and I'm like, it's okay, like whatever happened, what do we do next? Like, you know, I talk to myself. And then sometimes I'm just like, I compliment myself. I sometimes give myself these words also like, chal, enough now, you have to get up and you have to start working. Because I talk to myself now, like, you know, you talk to your best friend, and like when they need love, you give them love. When they need a little bit of like push, you give them the push. So that's what I do.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really, really love that. Like, I was thinking in my head, I would be like, no, this is not self-love. But you have given a good definition, actually. I like it. I give you points.
Thank you. Because Sanchi is launching a journal on the 31st of October. Do you want to tell everybody about it?
Yes. So, I am launching a journal under my brand, You Are a Sunflower. And it's a self-love and growth journal. And It's only 18 days away, which is very scary because I have a lot of things to go. But basically, in that journal, I've taken everyone through 7 different steps using which you can build self love and just learn to build a very special and healthy relationship with yourself. Yeah, so watch out for it.
Yeah, it's looking really good. I'll tell you that much. But I was gonna ask Sanchi because she's an expert now because she's got literally a journal on how to build self love. I was gonna ask you, like, is that like what I said? Is that right, or like how would you explain what self love is?
What you said is actually very correct. Because according to me, like self love is loving who you are at that moment, but also working towards your goals. And that's just not according to me. Actually, I read it in a book called Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King. And that book is like great. You should read it for sure.
Is that around self love?
It's around just living your life based on being a high vibrational soul.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting book. But like 2024 for me is also like about self-love. That's like the theme of my year. And so on my vision board in the center, I have a self-love definition literally just stuck there. And there it's written like self-love is about taking care of yourself and your well-being and not sacrificing your well-being to please others. And it's about just understanding what you deserve and working towards it, you know. So that's kind of what I believe self-love is.
I love that. I've had obviously in the past few years, I've had an understanding of self love, and I've had some years where I've known very well that my self love is very, very low. Like, I've had times where I'm like, I know that I don't have any self love in me, and the times where I have been actively working on myself, or I've been pursuing a goal, or I've been really into like physical activities like yoga or fitness, and during the years it's been different, but every time I'm doing these things then I find that my self-love goes up. But whenever I'm not, like literally sometimes there is no self-love in me for myself. So what I struggle with is that I feel like sometimes that I put a lot of value towards actually doing things and working hard and stuff, and when I'm not, then I struggle with self-love.
It's like you put value on how much you're working.
Yeah, like you associate your worth with it, which is actually probably not healthy.
It's not, because it usually stems from like your childhood and like because a lot of the times when you're growing up, like your parents would be like, you're only worthy and they will only appreciate you when you do something good.
Interesting.
And if you're not, then they will not. So you always think like you have to achieve something to be worthy of praise and stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's just how you're wired to be.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. It's something you have to consciously work on. You have to consciously like show yourself kindness and be very nice to yourself when you're going through something hard or you're not able to consistently work on your goals, and you are just patient with yourself. You have to work on it. It's actually hard for me as well, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Good perspective. I think that you just lose sight of things when you're in that phase when things are really hard. Interesting. I think, living with you, I've learned so much about self-love in general that I think in the future when something like this happens, I'll consciously remember it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice compliment.
All right, so then, I mean, you obviously have a journal now, so there's obviously going to be components of that. On like if somebody uses a journal, they'll build self-love. But do you want to tell us maybe some actionable things that you can do to build self-love?
So I think the first step of building self-love is just being self-aware. And like why I am a big fan of journaling is because like a few years ago I started to like write down my thoughts, and even if it was a hard time for me, I would just write down whatever came to my head, and it would be my original thoughts without like any distraction from any technology or anything. I would just sit and write and write and write. And like after a few months, when you go back and read those thoughts, you realize how either beautiful your thoughts are or how bad your thoughts are. And if your thoughts are bad, you will see that your life is also bad because your thoughts manifest into reality. So self-awareness is such a beautiful tool for you to understand who you are inside, what your thoughts are. And if you think that your thoughts are beautiful, then it's good. You keep working on it and you keep it that way. But if you feel like your thoughts are not good, you should act like you know that this is what you need to work on. Like you have to actively put effort into thinking good thoughts so that you change your life like that. So self-awareness is basically the first step for you to understand your internal self.
Interesting. So journaling is a good way to do that, right?
Yeah, you start with journaling, because then you are literally seeing your thoughts on paper. And then like we go into self-expression, which is like how creatively you would like to express yourself. Like in the past few years, I've realized that I like to express myself through words, and like I like to talk about my thoughts and feelings through either journaling or just talking to someone, or just putting it out on content and stuff. Or now I've started scrapbooking, so I really like to express myself like that. How do you like to express yourself?
Fuck, you're putting me on the spot. Talking to people only, no?
I don't know, it can be like different for everyone.
I don't journal that much, so definitely not through that. When I want to express myself, I first like to process it fully and what that means for me. And then when I've come to like, okay, this is the outcome of it, and I'll go read everything about it, then I'll talk to my closest friends about it. Does that answer your question?
Kind of, but like this makes you realize that maybe like you need to find your creative outlet of how you like to express yourself. Like a lot of people like to express themselves through either painting or making music or...
But I am not a creative person.
See, that's what... Everyone is a creative person.
Sorry, I'm not an artistic person.
That makes sense. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's not always artistic ways you express yourself. It can be different ways, but you need to figure out what feels most authentic to you. And then you try different things and figure out which one feels the best for you. And then when you do that, it's like a creative outlet for you. It can be as simple as like pottery. I know you didn't like it, you went for it.
That's what I'm saying. I've tried painting, drawing, dancing, pottery, all this. The only thing I like to do is go to the gym.
Yeah, so that's your creative outlet.
How is it my creative outlet going to the gym?
It makes you feel at peace.
Oh, that is definitely my creative. Is it my creative outlet? I don't know. It is. I mean, it is sort of creative because, like the kind of gymming I'm doing now, like with strength training, right? I'm consciously working on certain parts of my body, being conscious of what exercise I'm doing, what impact it has.
Yeah.
So, and it puts me in so much peace. Like it's my favorite time of the day.
Yeah. Or just like dressing up, like when you dress up and wear Indian
outfits.
That's
definitely how I express myself because I do a lot of mood-based dressing.
See? Yeah. That's self-expression. So you do different things and figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and you things that you really enjoy doing in terms of expressing yourself, you do that more to make yourself feel good.
My brain has exploded. Awesome. Okay, cool.
And so the third step is...
Then there's 7 steps, right?
7 steps.
Yeah.
I'll be very quick.
No. The reason I ask is because in your journal, you have all these 7 parts of your journal, right?
Yeah. And so the third step is self-care. So now self-care is, of course, about doing skincare and taking bubble bath and all that stuff. But it's about taking care of your mind, body, and soul. So you figure out what makes your heart it fills your cup. That's like filling your soul. So anything that you genuinely just is like, oh, that was heartful. Like hanging out with your friends. Or just hanging out with yourself and writing or enjoying that cup of coffee. That could be your soul thing. Your brain thing could be like, I don't know, you bought a Sudoku book doing that. Crossword is like brain thing, like your mind. You're doing something for your mind. You're reading something new. You're listening to podcasts. Doing something for your mind, body. Body is like going to the gym, doing yoga, going for walks, all that. So like doing things for your mind, body and soul. But I've also like kind of divided self-care into like 5 love languages. Because when you're in a relationship with someone, you try to love them in their love language. But in self-care, you give those 5 love languages to yourself. Yeah. So it's like physical touch, quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, and gift giving. And you do those 5 things for yourself. And that's like you do self-care in a full capacity.
Okay. Very interesting. Certain people have certain love languages,
Yeah.
which is their love languages, but all 5 love languages are important in some ways. If you
That's
can give that to yourself, then that's, yeah, sweet. I like it.
And
So
it's like you give those love languages to yourself, right? Then you know which one like you like to be loved in that manner. You know which one is number 1 for you and which one can be a little lower
oh
for
my
you.
God, that's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Then you can just work out what's your love language by
Yeah.
just giving it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And then it's also not like you're not craving someone else to give it to you. You because give it to yourself. If someone else gives it to you, it's an addition to your thing. But you already are fulfilled in you. You know.
Yeah, I love that.
And then the 4th one is self-trust. This one is one of my favorite ones because it's so important. Self-trust has 2 parts. It's building self-confidence through doing things outside of your comfort zone and taking those baby steps to achieve those goals. And it's about learning to trust your intuition. So self-confidence comes from doing things outside comfort zone, and intuition, learning how to trust your intuition comes from, again, like just sitting with yourself and taking decisions through your intuition rather than logic always. So
Very interesting, yeah. This is the one I feel like I'm strongest in. Like, I feel like I was saying, you know, every time I've worked hard, if I've pursued a hobby or a goal, I have built that self-love and self-trust a lot more, because then you know that you can rely on yourself, right? Which is, so you trust yourself.
Yeah.
Because you know, like, if I've set this goal, if I've told myself I'm going to do this and you do it, then you know, like, you have your own back.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was one more thing you said.
Intuition.
Yeah.
That is also strong for you.
I feel like I trust my intuition with people. So with people, I listen to what my heart is telling me. If I vibe with them, don't vibe with them, and I'm very like strong with, I don't wanna associate with them. I don't wanna hang out with them because I don't want that energy entering me.
Yeah, that's really good. I think also when you have like that self-trust, you're like not scared of failure a lot, because you're like, no matter what comes my way, I'll be able to get through it, because you have that self-trust in yourself. You're like, I'll be able to figure it out. It's all good. And then you take more risks, and then you achieve your dream life even
And then you
faster.
keep pushing yourself outside the comfort zone. Like, you do one thing, then you're like, oh, I did this, I accomplished it, let me try this other thing.
Yes.
Damn, bro. That's cool.
So the next one is self-compassion. And self-compassion is about just being kind to yourself, as I was saying before. Like, a lot of times life happens and you go through like hard times in your life. Maybe you're sick. Like, I was sick for 2 weeks last week, and then sometimes something bad happens in your life, and it takes time to process those things and feelings. So rather than pushing them away and being like hard on yourself and feeling like you're not doing what you should be doing and all that stuff, you just give yourself the time and space to process those thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and you work through them and kind of become kind to yourself. It's like how you will be to a friend when they are going through something. So being that level of kind to yourself. That's self-compassion.
Nice.
So
I love
think,
that.
yeah, that's the area that I need to work on the most.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, because you really struggle with it now. If you're sick or something and you can't be productive.
Yeah, I really, really struggle with it. Anyway, the next one is self-respect. And self-respect is mostly about like setting healthy boundaries and like having those very strong things set in your life that this is something that I'm not okay with and I don't want to budge on it. This does not align with my values or anything with who I am. And that's it's very linked to like self-awareness. Once you are self-aware of who you are as a person, you set those boundaries, and then you respect yourself enough to not let anyone budge those boundaries.
Yeah, this is one that I sometimes struggle with a lot. Like in friendships, relationships, it's hard.
Yeah.
I feel like no one's perfect, no? Like
No.
everybody has their own struggles, and it's a journey of just working on it.
Yeah. It's about like, at least you know that this is something that I struggle with, and when you know that this is something that you struggle with, you take small steps to like slowly like get over them. And that's the journey, and it's a lifelong journey. It can never be fulfilled, but the point is being on that journey.
Yeah, I love that. And then it's so weird because even if you work on your self love, then you build more self trust, then you build more self love.
And the final one is self-acceptance. And this one is just accepting every part of yourself, no matter it's a good part, no matter it's a bad part, because everyone has some toxic trait. Everyone has bad things in their life, and nobody is perfect. But just accepting those parts of yourself and being like, I am whole because of every area of my life, without giving out too much to you because you haven't seen Inside Out, but the movie is literally about that. It's about accepting every emotion as it is: anxiety, embarrassment, but good things like happiness, and like sadness, because sadness can be beautiful as well. So it's just about embracing every emotion.
I really want to watch that movie.
Yeah, I cried watching that movie. It was so relatable. I was like, damn, this is so good. I love it. Yeah, so that's self-acceptance. And these 7 areas build your self-love. And everything is interrelated, but you take one step at a time. And doing that one step brings you closer to being more in tune with yourself and building that healthy relationship with yourself and just feeling fulfilled in who you are. And when you feel fulfilled in who you are, you just attract people who also feel fulfilled in who they are. And then 2 fulfilled people come together and build their life. And it's just the most beautiful thing ever.
So it's time to be a sunflower, everyone, because you are a sunflower. And all of these, like I said earlier, all of these 7 areas are there in Sanchi's journal, which is launching on the 31st of October.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great way to start working on each area. Why are you crying?
Because it's just, I have always been the person who loved self-love, but like this year when I started to create the journal only, right? It's like, how do I start? Like, I don't know how to start making a journal. I've never done it. So I was just researching and just finding these 7 areas on the internet and just reading about it. I was like, okay, I've always known these things, but I never gave it a name. And like once I gave it a name, it just, everything simplified for me. It's just a very emotional thing and just...
Yeah. Anyway, we hope you guys liked this episode. We hope you got some good value out of it. I got such good value out of it. So I'm sure you guys did as well. Tell us in the comments what was something you learned, what is something you struggled with, what are you going to be doing, and share this with someone who you think could build some more self-love. We hope you liked it. We'll see you on our next one.
Bye!
Bye!